Hello again everyone, Mary Rose here at Stitch Bliss Corner. Um, well, it's still Stitch Bliss Corner, but it's the first video that I'm doing from my new stitching studio. And I should imagine you'd be looking at the walls and thinking, well, that looks just like the last one she was in. It's just the same colour paint. That's all. As I've done my stitching tour of the studio. Now I'm going to put out a little warning here because I really am not good with technology, and I was holding my iPad, and it's quite a big one, and I was making myself a bit giddy. So you might sort of need to, if you do watch it, you might need to pause every now and again and remind yourself that you're not out at the sea, tossing about in the briny. I did think of doing it again, but then I thought, well, if you do things again, the spontaneity's gone. And I do like things to be, as much as possible, live. There might be bits cut out of it, but it'll only be because the iPad was juddering around all over the place, and it was more for your good health than anything else that it's been cut. So we'll see how it goes anyway. As it was, I had to, at one stage, I just stopped for some reason, I must have touched something on the screen and it decided that it had had enough. So then I had to come back and continue on from there. So, I'm not a technology person. I've got email, but I really can't work it very well. I'm not sure if it's a case of I can't work it very well, or if part of me revolts against technology. I like bits of it, but there's other bits that I really don't like. And I'm not saying that I don't like emails, but I think I just tend to not think about them, whereas a lot of people are always emailing people. And, but see, it's sort of almost like we've gone back in time, because the telephone was considered to be the great modern invention. You didn't have to write letters anymore. And that was considered to be fabulous, a great advance. And now we find ourselves not using the telephone so much, but texting each other and emails, which is like writing letters again, isn't it? So it's interesting how things change. You can see Dear Scout in the background there, master of all his surveys. Very nice to have him in situ. And anyway, if you look at my video of the studio, you'll see everything in great detail. And if there's anything there that you're looking at and thinking, I wonder what's in there and why didn't she show me, well, feel free to ask me, and I will endeavour to satisfy your curiosity. It's not neat and tidy. In fact, it's more neat and tidy than I normally am. I think that to a certain degree, being neat and tidy doesn't really do much for your creative side. Although I was at my daughter's house yesterday, and she's got a picture on the wall it's a self-portrait done by Brett Whiteley, who was an Australian painter. And I know from watching documentaries on him that he was a very neat person when he was painting. Everything seemed to be in its right place. But he's the exception to the rule, I think. Unlike Lowry, who I show in my tour video, who used to paint in a suit, and he used to actually wipe his brushes on the sleeve of his suits. So, yeah. Anyway, what am I going to talk to you about today? I think I'll just this won't be very long, mercifully. I'm just going to show you what I've been up to, And I would also, to begin with, which isn't really the beginning because I'm already into it, but on the Flosstube side of things, I would very much like to thank everyone for their words on dragons. I don't think overwhelmed is quite enough for the lovely things that were said about that piece. I'm going to be taking it off to the framers in January after Christmas, because my framer will be run off his feet. At least I hope he is, because I want him to stay in business. But I thought I'd wait until after Christmas and take dragons into him. And I would also like to thank the people who feel that dragons isn't really their cup of tea, and still manage to say nice things. You know, I mean, my mother used to say to me, if you're looking, say someone's showing you a dress they've just bought and they're modelling it round for you and you think it's absolutely hideous, you can always think of something nice. So you can say, oh, that's a nice colour, you know. And my daughter caught me out, actually, because she knows what that story is. And one day she bought a dress and she was modelling it off to me, and I said, well, it's a nice colour, and she said, you don't like it. So I got sprung. But anyway, you can but do your best. That's what I always say anyway. You can usually find something nice to say. Now, so I'll get you up to date on the piece that I'm doing, Robert Frost piece, Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening. And that's that one there. See, the light just isn't the same here. I might end up doing my videos down in the other place again, but we'll just see how this one goes. Now, looking at this, you will notice when I hold the stitching up that the colours are different. Until I just get the... And I think that's been the lament of many stitchers, that the printed off piece, you know, of the piece that you're doing the print is different colour to the actual stitched work. As it happens, I'm pretty happy with that colour of the stitching. And anyway, if I want that one, I can just put it on the wall as it is, can't I? If I want that colour. But I like the subtlety, and I think it's coming along quite nicely, so I'm very happy with that. So that's Stopping by Woods. I'm hoping to get that done fairly quickly. Now this, if you're wondering what this bit is, the side here, rolled up, that's where the words are going to go, because I want to try and make it look like 2 pages in a book. Now, whether or not that'll work is another thing altogether, but I'll worry about that when I come to it. Now, the other thing I just wanted to show you was a piece that I've framed, that I've had a long time. I've had it completed, but I was really not knowing how I would frame this piece, but now I have done it, and I will show this. I'll just show you the picture first. It's from Graham Ross, magnificent designer, had a great sense of shape and colour. And this was the piece here, little Japanese maiden. Oh, I think it's really bad there. Now I did change her, and I'll just show you how I did that, and then I'll show you how I got the framing that I've done. Now here she is, and what I did, as you can see here, I put some extra stitching all over it basically. That's all sparkly floss. And I think the reason why I had trouble framing her was that I wanted to frame her a certain way, but I didn't know how I wanted to do it. So what I did, I'll just put her down for a minute. I'll put her back up again in a minute. My daughter bought me these, I think it's for journaling and all that sort of thing. And it's leather paper. And you've got all different patterns and things in there. And that one there was what I thought I would use, which is the background there. But it needed something else, so I got that blue, that colour blue, just to give it an extra something. And here down the bottom here, I've got less at the bottom than at the top because I wanted to make it almost look as though she was walking into the sea. Anyway, so I got this oval frame, and I just used that as a template. I just went round, and that was for the water part, and then the blue part, that blue part there, I just extended I just marked it so it was in a little bit, so that it was a smaller oval, and I put that in for the mat, I suppose you'd say. Now, it's not by any means a professional looking framing, but as I've said to Michelle Bendy Stitchy, if you want perfection, you can get it. You can just buy it, you know. So I don't know, I think that's what manufacturing came in for. Manufacturing, you know, you buy one bottle and they're all the same. You know, there's no, I mean, you might get a few blemishes here and there, but generally speaking, they churn out one after another, after another, after another. I mean, where's the fun in that, seriously? So really, if you're ever framing something and you're thinking, oh, you know, this isn't as good as, or whatever, just remind yourself that you've made it, and if you're happy with it and you think it looks good, that's all you need. I mean, and there's warmth in it. You know, I mean, if you get something from the shop, is there any, you know, if you buy something, no, I don't know. What am I talking about? Let's say you buy a mug, or a set of 6 mugs, and they're all the same. You might like the mugs, but if you made one, it might be crooked and the handle might not be quite straight, but which one speaks to you more? You know, it depends, I guess. I suppose if you're someone who loves perfection, well, that's a different thing altogether. It'd probably do your head in to have a cup that you made that was wonky. Well, you know, and you just put it in the back of the cupboard and wouldn't think about it again. But, yeah, so I'm happy with that. In fact, I think it's opening a lot of doors for me for framing, because the thing is, the beauty of just using an oval and making a template is you don't need an oval frame. You can make your oval there and put it in a square frame. And, you know, that's very handy, because I quite like oval. You know, I think it looks good. Now, what else was I going to say to you? Not a lot, I don't think. Just I'm going to take this occasion now to thank everyone who's come along with me on my stitching journey, because my journey is your journey as well. The comments that you make, the things you say to me, the things you know, it enriches me. And I would like to wish everyone a very happy and healthy and safe festive season. Next year is a year to look forward to. This year, everyone says how quickly this year has gone. So I think it has gone really quickly this year, and I can't explain it. But I also am putting a link at the bottom of this video, and it's a song by Nick Cave. Now, Nick Cave is described as, he's an Australian singer-songwriter. Now, he's described as alternative rock, experimental rock, and garage rock. And the name of the song is Into My Arms. And I'm dedicating this whole episode to my husband for his vision for putting this room together, putting this, you know, he had to persuade me to put the shelving up that we got. I was very lukewarm on it. He's put lighting in here. The flaming globes arrived, so we had that put up, and I was doubtful, thinking, oh, it's going to be too bright. But he even thought of that, and he's put a dimmer in for me, so I can have the light as intense or as subtle as possible. So this song by Nick Cave very much speaks to me. It's almost a hymn, but it's not quite one. Is it a love song, a ballad? It would be hard to put this into a category. I would suggest to you that if you do decide to listen to it, he does a few seconds to begin with to set the scene. And it's just him and his piano. And if you just sit there, when you get a quiet moment, shut your eyes, sit back, and just listen to this song. Have some tissues, but in a nice way. Yes, I think that sums it up. So, before I sign off, happy stitching. Think about your stitching. Put it in priority. Put it in priority and think to yourself, is this stitch worthy? Is this giving me joy? Would I be just as happy with this on the wall, unstitched, just the picture? And I think that would help people to declutter their heads on all the pieces that are waiting to be stitched that might be stressing them out a little bit. You know, Rome wasn't built in a day. And I think that if you stitch on something that gives you joy, then it really doesn't matter how long it takes to do it anyway, does it? I mean, I know people like to get finishes and everything, but, you know, on the scale of things. Yes. Okay. I think that's all I have to say, which is probably a good thing because because why, I don't know. I think I'm getting a bit addled because I think it's getting towards that time, isn't it, where, you know, it's been a very quick year, but it's getting hurtling towards Christmas Day, isn't it? And I think women, whether we want to feel that way or not, we do tend to feel under a little bit of pressure around this time of year with all the arrangements that have to be made and everything. So, you know, I hope that everybody manages to have a quiet moment and listen to Nick Cave, and it'll make you feel a lot, well, I don't know if it'll make you feel a lot better. It'll probably make you feel quite sentimental and will give you a great sense of priorities. Right, that's it. I'm going. All the best, everyone, and I will see you in the new year. Bye for now. Hello, everyone, and here I am in my stitching studio. It's still a work in progress, but I thought I'll just jump in today to give you an idea of what it's like. Naturally enough, I'm beginning with Scout, who was the first person to be put on the wall here, fittingly. So there he is. And behind that you can just see the top of my 12-string guitar. When I first met my husband, I had a 6-string guitar, and he is a fan of Gordon Lightfoot. And he said, oh, you have to get a 12-stringer. So I did get one. So that's just behind the chair here. And the corner of that painting there, that's going to go up. It's a picture of Nice, and I'll show you that sometime when I do a future video of this room. Now this house is very old. It's over 100 years old, and it was a farming a house out in the bush basically, and it was brought here by bullock wagon. That's a big long huge, they had huge wagons, and they cut the houses in half and that sort of thing, pulled them from places in the bush into areas, you know, in this closer to the shores, you know, the coastline. And this one came quite a long way, and it has a lot of history to it. Unfortunately, it's a bit like the pieces in the op shops, the stitching pieces. You really don't know the full history of the place, but the way it is, you know that it has a rich history of times gone by, and it has there's a deep spiritual feel about the place anyway that you can sort of sense. Anyway, that's why the walls are made of timber, and as I said, it was pulled on a bullock wagon, and the bullocks, you know, they'd have teams of bullocks pulling huge weights. So it's, and I remember when we came here, the lady at the back, who was 80 at the time, she was telling me she remembered when it was brought here when she was 7. And really, if I'd have been thinking, I would have sat her down and got a bit more history from her, but anyway, it wasn't to be. Now, that little bit of light there, you know, the end of the light there, that is something that I've recently got. I haven't used it at all. If I do, it'll just be for the light, because I don't like to use magnifiers at all, unless I can, you know, I mean, I know one day I'll have to, but I don't want to at the moment. So anyway, so we'll move along now. And this here is my window. And as you can see there, the lovely scarf that my sister sent me, my eldest sister, I've made it into the middle part of the curtain. And then I put some material either side, and it's a totally non-stitched curtain. That at the top there are tiny little gold pins that I've made into you know, to allow the bar to go through at the top there. You know, I don't, that way if I want to I can just take it down and use the fabric for something else if I want to. And it was very quick too, it only took me, what, 20 minutes or so. So anyway, so we come round now to the bookshelf, and here are some of my books that I've brought in here. I wanted somewhere to put the ones that I find most interesting, and that goes down there. Then I have a chair there with a little cushion on it. Let's see if I can move that out of the way. Right, and then, so I'm just moving something here. And so we come round, so there's Scout, then we go round and round and round and round and round. Bookshelf, my green man, who I absolutely adore. He's supposed to be a garden ornament, but why would you, you know, I mean, he's perfect in the house. Then there's one of my pictures. I did a painting that I did a while ago, well, a long while ago now. And I've got some drawers here. And they've just got art supplies, bits and pieces, if you will, that everybody amasses, you know, you can't help it. Then, so there's the bookshelf, round to the door, and that's a scarf that one of my sons brought back for me when he went overseas. So I've popped that on the back door there, and it's just hanging on a hanger. Okay, so now we come round to the shelves that I decided on. Well, actually, my husband, he had a vision of what he wanted for me. And these are shelves that are actually ones that you use in garages for heavy items, because you construct them and you put the, let's see, this bit here, it's very tough, very strong, so you can put anything on them basically. And what I like about them is that you can see the wall behind them. They haven't got a back on them, so it's really, really good for giving a feeling of space in a room that isn't particularly huge. So anyway, I'll stand back a little bit and see if I can get a better view for you. And there's the beautiful Cindy. I thought I would put her on because it really is appropriate that the first video that I do in here, she is part of, because Cindy, she was the first person that I subscribed to, and she and I have a real connection that goes over the miles, and it's you know, something very special to me. So I thought, well, I'll pop her on as well. So hello Cindy, I hope you're having a wonderful day today. And Cindy's cross stitch, everybody loves Cindy. She's just wonderful, very giving and generous and sweet person. So anyway, so here we go. Now down here under that crocheted well, ruggish, I suppose it is, a little shawl thing, that I crocheted that a long time ago. There is my sewing machine, and I've put that over it so the door doesn't bang into it. Basically, I'm going to be sewing something. I've got to make myself some items. I don't know when that's going to happen though, because I think I've had the material for, well, over 5 years. So anyway, whatever. We all have our hopes and dreams, don't we? So down on the bottom shelf there, in the plastic containers, the bottom there. I've got some fabric and that I used to use for patchwork. I don't do much patchwork because my primary interest is cross stitching, and the corner there over. Oh, I'm going to check this. I'm not very good with this at all. Anyway, over in the far corner is wool. You can sort of see the roundness of the wool there. Right, now coming up to the next shelf, I've got some books there. Not books, there. Here. These are all what I use if I'm doing any videos on art or history or anything like that. I grab one of those and start writing in them. Now, next to that, here, this is filled with floss. So I haven't taken this off yet, but this here, full of floss. And next to that, oh gosh, there, that's all. Sorry, I'm banging. I banged it against the shelf. That's all frames and bits and pieces for framing. Then here, that's mallard, and that is the fastest steam train. It holds the record for being the fastest steam train. It was built in 1938, over 75 years ago, and it still holds the world record. For a few minutes it went at 126 miles an hour, or 203 kilometres, on a track near Grantham. The driver was Joseph Duddington, a man known for taking calculated risks, and his fireman was James Rae. The fireman is the person that shovels the coal into the engine so that it keeps going along. My father was a fireman actually, so it's quite nice to have mallard there. And Joseph Duddington said he had to start slowing the engine down when he could feel the rivets starting to rattle. It was basically just almost disintegrating as he went along. So he must have had nerves of steel. I don't know about poor old James, what he thought of it all. Anyway, so these containers behind mallard, they are all for the flosses that are in that container there. And eventually they will go in there. Mary, Queen of Scots, is sitting on top there. I don't know if you can see her. Anyway, so moving along, this here, that's just card that I collect card or anything. If you buy some sheets or anything like that and there's cardboard in there, I just save that for the future to punch holes in for my to hold my threads when I'm stitching a piece. And here, these are all my books that I like to have for poetry or things that I want to remember. I bought quite a few of these because I love the cover. So yeah, and this little address book here, it's got some of my early stitching. It's very fine. That came with the kit. It was like, those cross-stitch kits, magazines where they give you a free giveaway, and the little address book came with it, and then you could put that inside once you'd stitched it. And then over there, Forget-Me-Not. That's from a friend, and I certainly won't forget her. Now, as we come across, now what am I going to do? I'll go up to the top here of this original shelf. There's mallard down there, so we're going up now. So it's got 1, 2, 3, sort of 4 shelves. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's Discovering Needlecraft that I was collecting, and I think I decided to stop getting the actual official folders, these, because I thought it was a bit extravagant at the time, and I just had other folders that I put the rest of the magazines in. Oh, there's Teddy, my Teddy from when I was little. It cost 2 and 6 in a chair that my mother made. Then this here these come out. They've got little handles at each end, and you can put the top on. My daughter got this for me, and you can clip each end up, and then it goes in to there like that. So there's Snicker Snack. That's when I do giveaways, and he'll be pressed into service early next January, so just be prepared for that. Now, the red folder at the back there, up there, that's got my knitting patterns in it, and then just other patterns and things in here just for knitting and crocheting. This little guy here, I got him when I was very young. He actually works. He's a string puppet that you can make walk and everything. There is the Tudor rose that Rae sent me, the needle case to go with my scissor fob. And what else have we got here? I just keep going along. That's my little statue. My books there. Little doll that you can make for French knitting. Ted that I got for an anniversary. We'll just go down to the next shelf. I've got something lit up here on my, what have I done? On the bottom here, I don't know quite if that's better, I think. Right, so this here is the lid of a tin, but I really like it, so it's probably a Monet or something. Then I've got this box has got some charts in that I want to do in the future. This is my keepsakes box that I have all my little mementos in and things that are sent to me. There is Lisa Kay's beautiful bag that she made for me. I mean, it's just lovely. I mean, and I see it every day. Then here is this one here is what Cindy sent me. She made it for me, and I see that every day as well. It's just beautiful. I mean, what can you say? And then as we come across here, Cindy sent me a needle minder, and so I put, well, she sent me two actually. I put one there, and the ones either side are from Rae, who also sent those to me very kindly. Now I'm just going to do something here. So I just don't know if this is focusing very well or not. I hope it is. Then as we come across here, this Lisa Kay sent to me as well as the bag, and the back here Yeah, the back. That is a snag nabbit. Now that there is the palette I used for dragons. I still haven't done anything with it yet. So yeah, so there's Buddha, and there is dragons. As I've said to people who watch me regularly, that I wanted dragons to be a celebration of the colours of Sumatra, as you know. So anyway, I've got that one there waiting. I'm going to take it to the framers in January, but he'd be run off his feet in December, so I don't want to add to his woes over the Christmas period. So I thought, well, I'll take it in after Christmas when he'll probably have a little break anyway, but when he reopens, I'll get back to him. Now, here, next to dragons, you can see this guy here, and he's Shintaro the samurai, and he used to be on a television series here in Australia in the 60s, and it had English subtitles, and I absolutely loved it. Yeah, so I got some videos. Of course, they're superseded now by DVDs, but I thought I would just put him there. Now, next to him, are all the pieces that I've got out of magazines over the years, you know, the giveaways and the little stitching things, and I've put all those together. That guy there, L.S. Lowry, with one of his paintings, great favourite of mine. I think he was fabulous. Nice, what would you call him? He wasn't an extrovert so much as a what are the word I'm looking for? Eccentric. That's the word I'm looking for. A wonderful eccentric. And this is a little card here in commemoration of the barge trip that we went on for 2 or 3 days when we were in England one time. Now this box here, I've got coloured pencils in there, and you know, I'm never very far away from a box of coloured pencils, and I've had this a long time too, a Whitman sampler tin. Then the little old man of the sea there. My father was in the Navy during the war, and I think it's just nice to have him sitting there. Little kabuki type mask there. So we've done that shelf. I'm not very good with this, as you can see, but anyway, we'll press on. Now the next shelf down, this little butterfly here, the blue one, that's in honour of Cindy, because she loves blue butterflies just like I do. Then we go down to the next shelf. Now those threads that you see there, they're what I'm getting together for Skating Minister, which I'm starting a little casual stitch along, shall we say, with Andrea of I Heart Cross Stitch. She's doing a large piece that she's starting, and I'm doing the Skating Minister. I'm starting on the 1st of January, will be the alpha stitch for that. Then this container next to that, that's a metal backing that I use for smaller pieces, and that's another little needle minder that Rae sent to me that I've put on there to hold my chart. There's a Thomas Kincaid. I've already got this one stitched up actually. It's just beautiful. The Garden of Promise. Just can't quite see beyond that gate. Beautiful. I've already stitched that up and I have it next to my bed, but I bought 2, and I've got this almost done really. I've just got to do the rest of the sky, and then I only have to do about 2,000 French knots. But I'm going to do a different colour scheme. This is a chart that I'm going to be doing later on for remembrance next year probably. I'll just have to see how I go. No, what else have we got here? Oh, that's just X's and O's, the rest of that chart, which I've completed that one. Now, this, I'll just move this. So the tip. Right. Now that there is the sum total of my fabric supply. So there's not a lot of it there. So yeah, and then over here, there, that's some mementos in there, and then this is really a little office organizer, but it's got bits of lace, cotton reels and things like that in there, you know, the typical sort of bits and bobs that any stitcher would have. And then down the bottom here, the very bottom row, oh, you'd have to have motion sickness pills. I'm really sorry about this, but it's quite difficult. That's probably why I've been putting it off. There's magazines in this big container. Then in this container, I've got just crocheted pieces that people have given me, and you know, things that sentimental value. Magazines in the next container, and then this container here at the end, I've got some stitching whips and things like that in there, and I'll get round to it eventually. Also, famous last words, isn't it? Now, I'm just moving this. This here is the little entertainment centre, and Cindy's showing off her beautiful work there. And I like this because I can move it round. It's on wheels, so I can just move it wherever I like, and it's wonderful. I can put anything on it, you know, like Flosstube videos, anything I like, and it's just great. This room really is a tribute from, well, it's a wonderful gift from Harlequin, really, because he envisaged this right from the start, because when he was talking about getting shelves and everything, I kept resisting, saying, oh, I don't think I could, you know, that would be suitable. But of course he was right. Now I'm going to go now to back over to this side, that's mallard again, just to show you the top shelf. I've got all my hoops on a hook there, because of course it's got all these, the shelving is so good because it's got all these little holes there that you can hang things from, which is really handy. Now, the very top, in that corner there in the bag, I've got some shawls that I've done for my sister and her grandchildren for when we go down to see them. More folders, those folders at the top there, I've got some, there was a series that came out that had newspapers of during the war and everything, and they're very good historical records, so I've got those. Then a little basket up there that was sent to me by my sister's children. Then there are books there on the Bayeux tapestry, another container with mementos in, books on history there, then the MGM story, the movies, and books on all famous artists. And the little basket, oh hang on a sec, there, that little basket there, that was my mother's. So that was her little sewing basket. So now I'm just going down from there to the next shelf, and I'm just going to show you a few more things here. This here is the Bear and Ragged staff, which was Robert Dudley's family crest, Queen Elizabeth's I's boyfriend, for want of a better word. Yeah, so I just like to have that there. This I stitched a long time ago. I love primroses and bluebells, so I put those there. And these are all my painting books and bird books that I can get down. If I want to paint a bird, I just have quite a few photographs of birds there. Then go down to the next shelf here. That's one of mine there, this guy. What do they say? A wise old owl sat in an oak. The more he heard, the less he spoke. The less he spoke, the more he heard. Why aren't we all like that wise old bird? I think we were supposed to learn that at school. That was supposed to make you wiser. Anyway, so in the distance there, over here, do you know, anyone should be able to do this, and I don't seem to be able to do it. But anyway, that there is pencils and everything. This little stitched piece here it came free with Discovery Needlecraft, the folders that I showed you, the magazines, and that was the first cross stitch I ever did, and I was hooked from then thereafter. And as you can see, it was a very amateurish finish and everything, but not to worry. Then my paints, scissors, the Keep Calm and Carry On was given to me by one of my sisters, and I've got my brushes in there. And palette. I like to use a plate sometimes for a palette. And so I've got quite a few paints in under there as well. That there. There. Is a glockenspiel, and when you turn that handle, it will play like a music box, you know. I don't know that I'll be able to do it because, let's see if I can just, no, I don't think I can play it, but anyway, I might play it when I'm sitting in the chair. And this little piece here, that it's just a little fairy at the bottom of the garden, little rose, and a shell, which I always see this room now is my little shell, which I think is highly symbolic. Now down here I have lots of, that's in the process of framing that piece, and under there I've got all sorts of paper, you know, just all sorts of paper and stuff. Then on the rest of the shelf there's some books there. There's a bit of glue in the background, and there's reels of tape in the far corner there. The black book here, that's got sketches in it. And down here, oh, there's a bit of sketching there that I was doing, and some pieces that I've stitched and framed sitting in there, waiting for who knows what to be done for them. what else have we got here? Oh, my feathers. I was very happy because I got a magpie feather the other day, which is wonderful. Love my feathers. Then, all right, so I'll just do a recap here. So we're going across this mallard there. So we go across. And down. And then across here from the shelves we go to this area here, which I like to have a little place I can put things that I like to look at, and then I can switch them out when I feel like it. Now this one here, that's Turner's Rain, Steam and Speed, which Turner's was a master of light, and there's the engine coming through the mist and everything. I just think it's just lovely. Then of course Ted DeGrazia's Butterflies, and this L.S. Lowry when he was a young man, and the famous ratting cap that they have in Yorkshire. All the young men and men used to wear those in those days. Then across here I've got a piece of foam there. It's just a sheet of foam that came probably with the TV that's my husband's put there for me, and so I used it to pin one of Lowry's paintings was made into a cross stitch, and I stitched that, and that's that one there. But I put a bit of detail on here on these pants, which I think Lowry would not have approved of. He liked blobs of paint basically, not any detail. So I don't think he would be very pleased with that. Actually, I should have left well alone, but I didn't realise at the time that was fully what he was about. And this needle minder here is Cindy gave that one to me. That was the other one. Now this frame here I've put there in honour of future pictures, future stitchings that have not even been thought of yet. I think it's quite inspiring to have that sitting there, so that's what that's there for. Then down here is one of the Japanese maidens that I've stitched, and I will show that in more detail either before or after this video. I don't know where this is going to be slipped in, but you'll know about it one way or the other. Then to go on, this unit here, I can use it as a table, or I can, it's sort of almost got shelves on it as well, hasn't it, down below there. This one has got Harlequin sitting there ready to be stitched on. Then I've got some other bits and pieces down here. There's my bean bags that I sit my stitching on when I'm stitching. And then the bottom shelf, that blue bag there is one my Auntie Ruth made me, and then a few charts and things down there. Now this here, 365 bedtime stories. I'm wondering if Marlene in particular would remember this. It was a book that, What a Jolly Street, it's an American book, and each day was a new story for every day of the week. And when I was a child, I was just, even though I was living in England, the book was there and I was so fascinated with it. And one of my sons bought it for me some time ago. So it's just nice to have it again. Nice memory from when I was little. So anyway, I just thought Marlene might be interested in that. Then this table here It's just a light little plastic one, and I can move it around everywhere. It's adjustable in the height and everything else. And I've got this rubber matting. It's so good, you know, things don't slide off. So I've just got that there, and I often put my iPad just in there. I sit it in there because it's on a tray, and the tray has got a little groove all the way around the edges, so that you can... So we go round then from the shelves to this area here. We're nearly back to Scout now, and there's the cat that I stitched some time ago, and there's Scout. So we've gone completely round the room. Here's the Stitchy chair. And I will now go over to the piece that my husband found for me that he thought would work very well for me for my stitching, and of course he was right. So I'll just move these things here. Some of this I'll cut bits out, maybe. I'll just see how I go, because I don't like cutting and editing, because I think it just takes away from the spontaneity a little bit. That down there, the yellow container, it's got all pieces in there that I'm thinking I might do a video on, you know, artists and bits out of newspapers and things like that. Right, so I'm stitching at the moment on the wooded air piece, seen out of the woods, which is that piece there for Robert Frost, the Robert Frost poem. And I'll just show you this now. This, it's like a big table. Well, it's not that big, but it's, you know, like a trolley table. It's on wheels. It's from a company in Queensland. And what I can do, I have the end here bent over. Here it bends over, and you can tilt this like that, and because that's bent over, it will just sit on the tilt. So, and that's, this next bit's on a hinge as well. So it's really handy, because I can put my chart on there and tilt it to whatever angle I like. I'm trying not to show the chart now. Stays stable. So it can be made into a table if I need a surface area to work on. So I'm very happy with it. I really like it. And then I've got here, when it's tilted, if I want to put my threads on there in the container, if I put a bit of rubber there, like that, rubber matting, and I put that container, it'll just sit on there without sliding off. So that's very handy as well. Yeah, so now what I'll do is I will just move these things off the chair that I've just put on there. I've got to show you some of that. Either before or after this video, you'll be able to see it. And I will sit in my chair and just show you the view that I have when I'm stitching. Right. So when I'm sitting down doing my stitching, I can see this. And of course, I'll just move that over. Just moved Cindy over. Okay. And was there anything else? Oh, just the light. I got a light dimmer, so I can turn down the light like that, or I can turn it up. So that's really handy. Right. Well, that is the Stitchy studio, and I must say I'm feeling a bit nauseous. I'll have to settle my stomach down before I do any more. So thank you very much for watching. Now I have a link below to a Nick Cave song, 4 minutes, and I would suggest that you have a box of tissues nearby and you just sit quietly with your eyes closed and listen to him. He plays, it's just him and the piano. He does about 10 seconds intro into the song, but it's lovely, and I think it sums up how people can feel about their loved ones. Now, I won't be doing another video now before the end of the year, so I'm going to wish everyone a happy and blessed festive season, and I will see you again in the new year for the Alpha Stitch on the Minister piece. So it's goodbye for now from Mary Rose.